Welcome to a webinar from the Association for Accreditation of Human Research Protection Programs, or AAHRPP. This presentation is for organizations considering AAHRPP accreditation and describes the benefits of accreditation for your organization and what the process involves. The webinar explains the reasons why organizations choose to pursue accreditation of their human research protection program, and will provide a high-level overview of the application process and describe the benefits of becoming an AAHRPP client. AAHRPP is a non-profit organization founded in 2001. We offer accreditation to organizations that conduct, review, or manage research involving human participants. We seek to identify quality programs, promote innovative practices, and ensure regulatory compliance. Many different types of organizations are eligible to apply for AAHRPP accreditation. In addition to universities and hospitals, many other types of organizations are also eligible to apply, including independent IRBs and ethics committees, contract research organizations, research institutes, sponsors, government agencies, and individual research sites. Accredited organizations include the world's premier research organization, the U.S. National Institutes of Health, and the world's largest research-based pharmaceutical company, Pfizer. AAHRPP accreditation is flexible. Our standards allow us to accredit small organizations as well as very large organizations with thousands of research studies. AAHRPP accreditation applies to clinical research programs as well as non-clinical research programs in social science, engineering, and management research. Our mission is to accredit organizations that have high-quality human research protection programs. We seek to promote excellent, ethically sound research through partnerships with research organizations, researchers, sponsors, and the public. We encourage effective, efficient, and innovative systems of protection for research participants. As of March 2018, almost 250 organizations representing over 600 entities are currently AAHRPP accredited. AAHRPP is truly global. 20% of our organizations are based or located outside the United States. We have accredited organizations in North America, South America, Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. And we have additional organizations in the pipeline from Australia, Japan, and Jordan. Next, let's look at the reasons why organizations pursue AAHRPP accreditation. Organizations choose to pursue accreditation to strengthen human research protections, earn the respect and meet the expectations of peers because they want to play a leadership role in collaborative research efforts, to gain a competitive edge with sponsors and funding agencies, to improve public trust in their research, and to facilitate researcher collaboration, for example, under the new NIH policy on single IRB review. Organizations find there are a number of benefits to pursuing AAHRPP accreditation. It raises participant protection to an organizational priority. It results in a more visible role for the ethics committee or IRB. Organizations report it improves resources and that it results in better quality, efficiency, and effectiveness of their human research protection programs. They also report better compliance with regulations, laws, codes, and guidance, and improve communication and integration of the different parts of the AAHRPP. AAHRPP's approach to accreditation is voluntary, peer-driven, and educationally based. AAHRPP accreditation is voluntary. Organizations choose to pursue AAHRPP accreditation because they desire to be recognized as high-quality programs. They seek to pursue accreditation because of flexibility in meeting AAHRPP standards and to be responsive to changing demands in the field. AAHRPP accreditation is a peer-driven process. Our standards reflect existing requirements and we seek stakeholder input about emerging trends. Our standards are judged by peers, and all AAHRPP standards are transparent. All the criteria for evaluation are publicly available. AAHRPP accreditation is an educational process. It starts when organizations conduct a self-assessment of their human research protection program's written materials using AAHRPP's standards. Next, when an organization sends in its application, AAHRPP conducts a detailed review of written materials and provides feedback on ways the organization can improve its written materials to meet AAHRPP standards. Then AAHRPP will schedule an on-site visit where peer reviewers evaluate the human research protection program in practice. Throughout the process, our focus is on education and helping an organization learn and improve its human research protection program to meet AAHRPP standards. AAHRPP accreditation is broader than just the Ethics Committee or IRB. The focus of AAHRPP accreditation is the organization's entire human research protection program as an integrated system of research oversight. The human research protection program involves three broad domains. First, the protections provided by the organization, for example, through oversight of investigational drugs and devices, or through the inclusion of human participant protections in sponsor agreements. Second domain are the protections provided by the Ethics Committee, or IRB, and the third domain reflects the responsibilities of researchers and research staff. Together, we call these the Human Research Protection Program, and it reflects that protecting research participants is a shared responsibility. The Human Research Protection Program is an integrated system of protections involving many different parts of the organization. Starting with an organizational plan, it also includes different functions, such as education, review of conflicts of interest, oversight of drugs and devices, inclusion of human participant protections in contracts and grants, participant outreach to both prospective and existing participants, ongoing compliance oversight, and education of investigators and research staff, in addition to the Ethics Committee or the IRB. AAHRPP's accreditation standards are based on U.S. federal regulations, including the Department of Health and Human Services regulations and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration regulations. In addition, the evaluation instrument also includes other common rule departmental requirements, for example, from the Department of Defense and Department of Energy. And where applicable, the evaluation instrument also includes additional requirements from the International Council on Harmonization for Good Clinical Practices Guideline E6. For organizations located outside the United States, AAHRPP accredits to your country laws, codes, and guidelines, as well as the ICH GCP Guideline E6. AAHRPP adopts an outcome-based approach. We recognize there are many possible avenues to achieve a shared goal. That is, the protection of the health and welfare of research volunteers, whose participation makes the entire enterprise possible. Next, we'll provide an overview of the accreditation process, from the organization's self-assessment to AAHRPP's review of written materials and scheduling a site visit, and then finally the review by the Council on Accreditation. The AAHRPP accreditation process starts with an organization's self-assessment. This can last between 6 and 12 months, and this is the organization's work in-house to plan and then conduct the self-assessment and then assemble and submit the application. Then over the next 9 to 12 months, organizations work with AAHRPP as we review and work with the organization to make any revisions to written materials, conduct a site visit, and then prepare materials for review by the Council on Accreditation. To conduct the self-assessment, an organization will develop a plan and then conduct a review of the written materials for the Human Research Protection Program using the evaluation instrument to see if they contain all the required information. Based on this review, the organization can then revise materials to add any required additional information. Here are some best practices to consider when planning for accreditation. First, get commitment from the highest level. This ensures your entire organization fosters a culture of accountability and makes human research protection a priority across the organization. It will also help you obtain organizational commitment backed by budgetary support and resources. As you conduct the self-assessment, we recommend you strive for protection, not perfection, in terms of your written materials. We recommend organizations establish an accreditation team to share responsibilities. This will also help encourage communication across all the different parts of the Human Research Protection Program. When planning for accreditation, you should consider your resources, budget, tasks, and timeline. So in terms of resources, you should identify potential resources. This can include the director of the AAHRPP and staff. You can also convene advisory teams and identify administrative support. In terms of budget, you should consider both the application fees for AAHRP accreditation and annual fees. We recommend organizations establish an accreditation team to share the efforts. Generally, this consists of a core team of members who will be working throughout the entire effort. This might involve organizational administration, the IRB or Ethics Committee administration, legal counsel, sponsored programs, your education coordinator, and someone who can maintain the integrity of the documents throughout the process. You should delegate responsibilities and tasks to different people to share efforts, and then meet regularly on an ongoing basis. As you look at your written materials and practices, you should ask, do they address the standard? Are they adequate? Are your materials up to date and current? And are your materials internally consistent with each other? This table shows how organizations can organize their work. We recommend organizations list out on an element by element basis the written materials they have currently, any gaps they've identified through the self-assessment, and then assign responsibilities to different parts of the Human Research Protection Program, establishing due dates and targets and goals to complete revisions and assemble resources. Once an organization submits its application to AAHRP, we will conduct a review of written materials and provide a report listing ways the organization can improve its materials to include all AAHRP standards. Next, we will schedule a site visit where peer reviewers go on site to evaluate the organization's Human Research Protection Program and practice, and then the materials will be reviewed by the Council on Accreditation. Once an organization's written materials meet all AAHRP standards, AAHRP will schedule a site visit. Site visits involve 2 to 4 site visitors, all from accredited organizations, who are on site at the organization between 2 to 4 days. The site visit consists of interviews and conversations with individuals across the Human Research Protection Program. This includes interviews with senior leadership, researchers and research staff, members of the Ethics Committee or IRB, and then other individuals across the Human Research Protection Program, such as the research pharmacist, the persons responsible for ensuring human participant protections are included in contracts and funding agreements, persons responsible for conflict of interest, and others. In addition to the interviews and conversations, site visitors will also review research records on site. After the review of written materials and the site visit, The organization's application is reviewed by the Council on Accreditation, which meets quarterly. At initial review, Council may determine the organization is awarded full accreditation. This is where an organization's program meets all AAHRPP standards and elements. Council may also elect to award qualified accreditation if an organization meets all the regulatory requirements. Council may decide to award accreditation pending. This is where an organization just needs some additional work, and the application will come back for review at the next Council meeting. For organizations that are seeking reaccreditation, the Council may award full accreditation, or if some elements still need additional work, accreditation pending. Organizations that are unwilling or unable to make changes in their programs might be placed on probation, and theoretically the Council may revoke accreditation, but this is exceptionally rare. When the Council on Accreditation first awards accreditation, it is valid for 3 years. When organizations subsequently apply for reaccreditation, it is valid for 5 years. Council has also identified legacy organizations that are approaching their second reaccreditation, and after reviews, these organizations may be eligible for a streamlined review. There are a number of benefits of becoming an AAHRPP client. One of these is AAHRPP staff support during your self-assessment. AAHRPP staff are fully available to organizations that become clients. We will support organizations and answer questions during your self-assessment and provide practical advice. We will review some written materials to see if the self-assessment is on the right track. And AAHRPP staff will provide expert advice based on our personal experience obtaining accreditation, serving as site visitors, council members, working at AAHRPP, and other experience. We hope that this brief overview of AAHRPP's accreditation process helps you see that AAHRPP provides a rigorous and accessible approach to improving your human research protection program. For more information about how to get started with AAHRPP accreditation and whether AAHRPP accreditation is right for your organization, please contact AAHRPP. We look forward to talking with you about your organization, and thank you for your interest in improving human participant protections.